There's something you need to understand about your subconscious mind. It doesn't care about your goals. It cares about your patterns. It's not interested in what you want. It's only interested in what you repeat. So, if your life feels like it's stuck in loops, it's not a curse. It's a program. And that's the great secret most people never realize. They think they're failing because they lack motivation or discipline. But the real reason is that their subconscious mind is loyal to a story that no longer serves them. Florence Scovel Shinn said, "Man must prepare for the thing he has asked for when there isn't the slightest sign of it in sight." That means the transformation begins before your reality changes. It begins in your beliefs. But here's the problem. Your subconscious mind doesn't respond to logic. You can say affirmations all day long. You can write goals in your journal. But if your nervous system is programmed to stay small, to stay safe, you'll sabotage every chance of expansion. And not because you're weak, because your body has memorized fear as familiar, and your subconscious equates familiarity with safety. This is why you may notice that every time you get close to progress, you pull back. You delay. You find a reason to wait. You doubt yourself, not because you truly believe you're incapable, but because your inner script has told that story for so long, it's hard to imagine a different ending. Your subconscious doesn't need more information. It needs new experiences. It needs repetition, emotion, and presence, not perfection. So the first step is awareness. Noticing the patterns that keep you stuck without judging them, because judgment strengthens the pattern. But observation, quiet and honest, starts to dissolve it. That voice inside you that says, "You can't," it's not your voice. It's the echo of someone else's fear, absorbed so early that you mistook it for truth. And here's where it shifts. When you recognize that thought and choose not to obey it, even just once, you begin to rewire the pattern. That's the power Florence was pointing to. Not magic, not wishful thinking, but subconscious obedience to belief, and your ability to rewrite that belief from the inside out. You don't sabotage yourself because you're lazy. You sabotage yourself because, at some point in your life, you learned that change was dangerous. Procrastination, fear of starting, sudden waves of doubt. They seem like weakness, but they're actually protection. Your subconscious is trying to keep you inside what's familiar, because that's where it believes you're safe. Florence Scovel Shinn once said, "The subconscious mind has no sense of humor and takes every word literally." So when you constantly say things like, "It's too hard," "I'll never figure it out," or "I'm not ready," your subconscious doesn't question it. It obeys. It begins to shape your entire reality around that message. You'll start attracting experiences that confirm the struggle. You'll hesitate when opportunity shows up. You'll shrink when expansion is right in front of you. Not because you're incapable, but because your internal system is designed to keep the story consistent. And that's what the subconscious wants most: consistency, not happiness. It wants your external life to match your internal beliefs, even if those beliefs are painful, even if they keep you stuck. That's why so many people feel like they're living on repeat. Same financial struggles, same kind of relationship, same pattern of starting and quitting. Not because they lack desire, but because they're trapped inside a narrative they didn't consciously write. And here's the truth. What keeps you stuck isn't lack of motivation, it's overcommitment to an outdated pattern. But the good news? Patterns can be rewritten, not through force, but through small, repeated choices, through silence, through awareness. Real change begins when you stop believing every thought you think, when you stop assuming your mind is speaking the truth, and start recognizing that it's echoing the past. That's the beginning of rewiring. That's where the saboteur starts to lose power. And that's exactly what Florence was pointing to. A deep, invisible shift that starts within. Your subconscious doesn't argue. It doesn't weigh pros and cons. It simply repeats what it knows. It's not a decision maker. It's a pattern keeper. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that whatever is impressed on the subconscious will be expressed in the external world. And most of what's been impressed wasn't chosen by you. It came from childhood, from trauma, from a parent's fears, a teacher's sarcasm, a moment you didn't even think mattered. But your nervous system remembered, and your subconscious stored it as fact. So now, when you try to step into something new, that old memory activates. A familiar discomfort, a resistance that feels logical, but is actually emotional. That's why you delay your dreams. Why you talk yourself out of opportunities. Why you say next time again and again. Because deep down, the subconscious believes it's not safe to expand. And until you change that belief, you'll keep living in a reality that mirrors your past, not your potential. The problem is, most people try to fix their life from the surface. They read more, they hustle harder, they try to stay positive. But the subconscious doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to presence, to stillness, to repetition with emotion. And that's where true rewiring begins. Not by forcing your way out of sabotage, but by learning to notice when it's happening and choosing differently in the smallest of ways. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to change your whole personality. You only need to begin disrupting the old code, the internal script that's been running in the background for years. That's what Florence was really pointing to. Not affirmations on the surface, but transformation at the root. Because when your subconscious stops reacting to the past, you finally become free to create something new. You may not be the author of your subconscious patterns, but you are the one who gets to edit them. That's where your power begins. You don't have to go back and relive every wound. You don't have to analyze every memory. You just have to become present enough to notice what's running, and willing enough to interrupt it. Florence Scovel Shinn understood this long before neuroscience caught up. She knew that belief, spoken with emotion and repetition, could override fear. She wasn't just teaching mysticism, she was teaching reprogramming. And today, we have the tools to go even deeper. You can choose silence over reaction. You can choose stillness over urgency. You can choose one new thought, even if it feels small. And that alone begins to change the path your mind walks. Rewiring the subconscious is not about doing more. It's about doing differently. Your nervous system doesn't need you to be perfect. It just needs you to stop obeying the old voice, the one that says you'll never change, the one that whispers you're not ready. That voice isn't the truth. It's just repetition. And repetition can be broken. You're not stuck. You're conditioned. And conditioning can be undone, gently, quietly, one moment at a time. Florence believed that your word is your wand. So what are you speaking into your life today? What are you allowing your subconscious to believe? There's a code inside you, a pattern. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to rewrite it. Not with force, but with awareness, with presence, with intention. Because the shift doesn't happen when the world changes. It happens when your inner world stops resisting your own expansion. That's the moment you stop reliving the past and start building the future from the inside out.